did Lavar Ball go from a failed athlete to the most infamous dad in the NBA? I'm getting into the evolution of basketball's biggest troll, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, I'm Devin Howard. If you're not already following me on Instagram, do it now at Devin Howard and subscribe to the Fumble, tap the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. Lavar Ball is notorious in the basketball world. The loudmouth patriarch always has something to say about everything, and in doing that, he consistently makes a fool of himself. He doesn't have the best business savvy, which is why he hired a convicted felon to manage Big Baller Brand's finances, but how did he get to where he is today? Well, let's start from the very beginning. Lavar was born on October 23rd, 1967 in Los Angeles, California. Growing up, he played several different sports including football and, of course, basketball. Of his basketball finesse, Lavar has said that he was the star forward of his team and that he was ultra competitive, which isn't surprising considering how intense he is about his son's success in the sports world. So throughout his childhood, he was involved in athletics and had his sights set on going pro. In college, he continued playing both football and basketball. He played for Washington State during the 1987-88 season, averaging 2.2 points per game. He also played for West Los Angeles College and Cal State LA. He wasn't what you'd call a standout player. He actually found more success in football. He was the starting quarterback for Canoga Park High School and continued to play in college. For a brief time, the multi-sport athlete played with the London Monarchs in the World League of American Football. After college, he joined the practice squad for the New York Jets and then the Carolina Panthers, but never managed to play a professional football match in the NFL. And so began his mission to turn his children into the pro stars he never managed to be, so he could live vicariously through them. So he ditched his dreams of going pro himself, but quickly got to work on his next plan of action. He and Tina gave birth to Lonzo in 1997, and Lavar got right to work grooming Lonzo to be a standout basketball player. Before we go into what Lavar did to make sure Lonzo would be a great athlete on the court, let's talk about Tina. The two met at Cal State Los Angeles. Lavar was initially attracted to her because of her height. In the past, Tina said that he always had a master plan. So the two had a baby, Lonzo, and when he was old enough to walk, Lavar started teaching him the fundamentals of basketball before he was even in preschool. 1 year after Lonzo was born, the couple got pregnant again and gave birth to LiAngelo, and then a few years later, they had LaMelo. By the time Lonzo was 4 years old, Lavar had groomed him so much that he could already do a pull-up. I work out regularly and I can't even do a pull-up. Meanwhile, 4-year-old Lonzo was doing them no problem. When he was 12 years old, Lavar would have Lonzo do mile-long sprints up hills. Lavar was making sure his sons had the strength and endurance to play basketball professionally. Lavar said, quote, "I started introducing my boys to working out when they were 4 or 5 years old, doing pull-ups and dips and hanging on the bars for fun. They was into it because they would see who could do one and then the other would try and do two, and as they got older they'd say, 'Dad, let me go in there, I can do them by myself.' It was like a competition thing for all of them." He also convinced his sons that they needed to set their sights on the NBA by saying, "Your mom's a PE teacher, I'm a trainer, she's big, I'm big, you guys are big, your last name is Ball, what else you gonna do?" Wow, what else you gonna do? Much to Lavar's excitement, the boys did grow up and excel in basketball. When they were young, like 7, 9, and 10, they'd play against older boys and would, quote, "run them into the ground." The Ball brothers were so well known for their insane talent on the court that other kids would ask them to sign their backpacks and basketballs. By the time the boys got to high school, they led their Chino Hills High School team to an undefeated record in the 2015-16 season. In other words, they were damn good. Lavar's commitment to living the life of a basketball dad paid off. Lonzo and LiAngelo committed to UCLA after their sophomore years of high school, and LaMelo did the same the summer after he finished middle school. When Lonzo went off to UCLA, he was averaging 14.6 points, 6 rebounds, and 7.6 assists in just over 35 minutes per game. He made over 55% of his shots from the field, so yeah, the dude was killing it. And this is when Lavar really got to work. Lonzo was busy making moves on the court, while Lavar was running his mouth on the sidelines. He earned a reputation as a master promoter for the way he exaggerated practically everything and was always willing to talk to a camera and microphone when it was present. It seems like this was the moment Lavar found his niche. His sons were excelling in the sports world, and he finally had the opportunity to make a name for himself as the zealous father on the sidelines. While all of this was brewing, showing, LaMelo scored 92 points on 61 shots in a Chino Hills victory. Lavar was obviously over the moon. He said that LaMelo loves to score. That's the type of thing he's going to do next year on a daily basis. It's easy for him. Lavar was proud, but Charles Barkley had a problem with the high schooler's style of play. He said, "You know, the kid was waiting at half court most of the game, never went back on defense, so I had a problem with it, to be honest with you." Charles would later have a problem with everyone in the Ball family, but mostly Lavar. The two have had multiple spats over the years, but to be honest, as his kids grew more famous for their skill, it seemed like Lavar would butt heads with anyone and everyone. Like the time he confidently asserted that he could beat Michael Jordan if they ever played one-on-one. He sat down with Jimmy Kimmel and made some outlandish claims about his skill on the basketball court and the reasons why he thinks Michael Jordan has nothing on him. Take a look at the clip here.
You know it's real too. He's too small. He's too little. If you're weighing 210 pounds,
right?
We playing one-on-one.
Yeah.
You know I'm undefeated one-on-one. I don't never lose one-on-one.
Did you ever play Michael Jordan?
If he played me, he'd cry.
So forget about his unbelievable NBA career. Because Michael Jordan is too small, Lavar, who never went pro, could beat him one-on-one? Okay, Lavar. When Jimmy asked him if he'd ever play Michael now, this is what he said.
Has there been any talk of you playing him now? Never like
Who want to watch two 50-year-olds play now?
I want to watch you 50-year-olds play now.
Include me in the group of people who would want to watch that too. Michael Jordan responded to the claim saying, "You've got to understand the source. I don't think he could beat me if I was one-legged." As Lavar built his reputation as a ridiculous trash talker, Lonzo led the Bruins to a 29-4 record, good for a number 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. But after a particularly sour losing game for UCLA, Lavar came out and started talking. Again. He blamed the loss on Lonzo's teammates because, of course, a ball can do no wrong. He said, "Realistically, you can't win no championship with 3 white guys because the foot speed is too slow." 3 players out of UCLA's starting 5 were white, so you see where he was going with that one. Shortly after that, Lonzo declared for the 2017 NBA draft, finally fulfilling Lavar's dream of becoming a pro basketball player. In the months prior, Lavar had been saying that Lonzo would go to the Lakers. He had no proof of such a draft decision, but kept running his mouth about it anyway. It was in all of his Lakers talk that he had probably the most iconic moment when he said he was going to speak Lonzo's move to the Lakers into existence. Now, I'm all for the law of attraction, but coming from Lavar, it all just sounded like a bunch of big game. Luckily for Lavar, it worked out. Lonzo was picked up by the Lakers, and the dad gloated over the fact that he, quote, knew it was happening before it was happening. A month later, they traded their point guard and former number 2 pick, D'Angelo Russell, to the Nets, showing their full commitment to Lonzo. Now, though, he might be disposable, as we saw in their attempt to sign Anthony Davis. Lonzo, along with other core young players, would have been the first to go if that deal went through. But throughout all of this, Lavar was promoting his merch line, the Big Baller brand. He launched it in 2016 as a sports apparel and lifestyle company. Capitalizing on Lonzo's growing fame, he announced that fans could buy a pair of signature Lonzo shoes, accurately named ZO2s. This is a great way to get fans to connect with their favorite sports star, but there was a catch. The shoes sold for a touch less than $500. People were outraged that a fledgling apparel company was selling shoes for $500. In response to the criticism, Lavar said, "If you can't afford the ZO2s, you're not a big baller." Yeah, well, then I guess most of us are not big ballers. I sure as hell won't be dropping that much cash on a pair of problematic shoes. Shaq fired shots at Lavar, tweeting back at him saying, "Hey Lavar, real big baller brands don't overcharge kids for shoes." I have to say I'm with Shaq on this one. $495 is a lot for a pair of shoes. Moving on, the antics continued in Lavar Ball's world. There was that time when Lavar pulled his AAU team off the court after being called for a technical and cussing at the referee. After the game, Lavar talked to ESPN and said, "The referees were cheating. I can see cheating when I see it. But when I said let's go, not one of my guys turned and looked at the other guy and was like, what are we doing? What's going on? We go as a team, we come as a team." He continued on saying, "I got their best interest in these kids. I'm not going to let them guys get fouled and knocked down. They're 13, 14 years old. It's better for me to say, yo, let's go, before I turn into a raving maniac when you break my son's leg or something." So to put it simply, he pulled his team off the court after he disagreed with the ref over a call, even though there were thousands of fans in the stands wanting to see them play. Now let's circle back to the Big Baller brand, because in August, LaMelo got his own signature shoe. For fans of Melo, this was a cause for concern because in order to be eligible for college ball, he can't profit off of his own likeness. Of course, Lavar responded to those claims saying, "NCAA ain't going to tell me shit because they're not my boss." He also said that he'd cross that bridge when he gets to it. Weeks later, he pulled LaMelo out of Chino Hills High School over disagreements with the school's new basketball coach. The recurring theme here is that Lavar lives his life like this. It's Lavar's way or the highway. He'll stop games, pull his kids out of schools, insult people who aren't as wealthy as he is. He basically has no regard for how his words and actions impact anyone but himself and his family. But is he really positively impacting his family? The Ball brothers possess skill, and that's enough to earn them recognition, but you have to admit, Lavar has really been able to put their names on the map. His outspoken nature has earned him a reputation, and despite it not being the best one, it still has caused basketball fans to notice his sons, more so than they likely would have if Lavar was just a quiet dad in the stands. But he's also caused a lot of problems with his kids. In Lonzo's debut against the Clippers, Patrick Beverley stalked him and trash-talked him during the game. He crowded Lonzo on inbounds play, prompting Lonzo to push him away. Patrick then hip-checked Lonzo to the ground, drawing a foul, and he proudly raised his hands afterwards. After the game, when he was talking to reporters, Patrick said that his intimidation tactic was entirely intentional and specifically geared towards Lonzo. He said, "I just had to set the tone, man. I told him after the game that due to all the riffraff his dad brings, he's going to get a lot of people coming at him. He has to be ready for that, and I let him know that after the game. What a better way to start off, just 94 feet guarding him tonight. Welcome his little young ass to the NBA." Lavar's polarizing personality literally put a target on Lonzo's back. I sort of feel bad for the guy. He can't help it that his dad just won't ever stop talking. Lonzo's not the only one who has found himself in hot water, so is LiAngelo. You all remember the Chinese jail incident, right? The UCLA basketball team traveled to China to take part in an exhibition against Georgia Tech. There, LiAngelo and several of his teammates were arrested for shoplifting. The athletes ended up in a Chinese jail. Donald Trump asked the Chinese president to intervene and send the boys home. Days later, they were on a flight back to the US. It's difficult to know what exactly happened here. Was Trump responsible for the boys' release? Was Lavar the one who got them out? We don't know for sure. But one thing Lavar made very clear is that he didn't think he owed the president a thank you. In fact, Lavar refused to acknowledge that the president could have played any role in getting the basketball players out of China. The two men publicly badmouthed each other for not giving one another proper credit. It was a mess. Lavar even went so far as to say shoplifting wasn't a big deal and that since his son fessed up and returned the stolen items, there was no harm done. Except for the fact that your kid literally thought it was okay to steal, but whatever, jail time is no biggie, bro. Following that whole incident, LiAngelo and LaMelo went to Lithuania to get an early start on their pro basketball careers, thereby eliminating their NCAA eligibility. At first, it seemed great. For the first month, it was an exciting time for Lithuania, ball fans, and basketball in general. LiAngelo was impressive to watch on the court, something that surprised a lot of people. LaMelo ended up being less exciting to watch. He's younger than LiAngelo by 3 years, so it makes sense that he's not as strong or as skilled as his older brother. The excitement began to fade, and by the third month, the stands were mostly empty during the games. The viewership around the world decreased by huge numbers. Fans were bored because the Ball brothers weren't making as big a splash as they were expected to. And of course, Lavar was feuding with the head coach for not putting both his sons in the starting lineup. So Lavar did what he always does and pulled his kids out of Lithuania, saying that their experience there was boring, so he turned his focus to the JBA League. LiAngelo had originally stated that he wouldn't participate in his dad's junior basketball league, but he later announced he would alongside his brother LaMelo. But given that Melo was just a teenager, he was unhappy playing professional basketball and wished he was just enjoying his senior year like his friends. As documented in a Ball in the Family episode, Lavar was upset that Melo wasn't appreciative of his time in the JBA, but ultimately decided to let his son go back to high school. And finally, to wrap up the timeline of Lavar and all the crazy stuff he does, we have to briefly discuss this whole Big Baller brand controversy, how Lonzo discovered that his dad's business partner, Alan Foster, was stealing millions of dollars from the athlete. Lavar insists that he had no idea any of this was happening, and honestly, he probably didn't, but what he should have known is that Alan had a history of embezzlement and fraud and even served prison time for it. Now, remind me again why you'd put a known felon in charge of your son's business affairs? I will never be able to fully understand why Lavar does 90% of the stuff he does, but despite his grating personality and his uncanny ability to start fires wherever he goes, he's doing something right because currently the family's thriving. He's committed to fostering his kids' success and he's devoted to their careers. When his wife suffered a stroke, he was right by her side, caring for her as she regained her strength. He might be loudmouthed, boisterous, and ultimately just downright offensive, but at the very least, he cares about his family, and they're doing pretty well. I have a feeling this is just the beginning for the Balls. What do you think about Lavar Ball? Are people too hard on him? Does he need to just sit down, be quiet, and let his kids play? Sound off in the comments, and don't forget to find me on the gram at Devin Howard. Click subscribe and tap that bell for notifications. Thanks for checking in with me here on The Fumble. I'll see you next time.